All right, very quickly, since the machine turned off. Adding integers. Our goals are to remember the rules and to simplify or do the math without a calculator. Right? If you can do this without a calculator, that means you'll be able to use a calculator and know if your answer makes sense. Rule number 1, if the signs, positive or negative, are the same, find the sum, add, keep the sign, positive or negative. So down here we did 4 plus 10. They're both positive, so I added to get 14. Since they were both positive, I keep it 14. If the signs are the same, find the sum, keep the sign. Negative 3 plus negative 7. If the signs are the same, they're both negative, find the sum. 3 plus 7 is 10. Keep the sign. Since they were both negative, they become a negative answer. Rule number 2, if the signs, positive or negative, are different, find the difference, subtract, greatest distance, the absolute value. Here's our examples for those. I'll switch colors so it's easier to see. 14 plus negative 3. Now I write this negative 3 inside parentheses so you don't ask, is that a negative sign or is that a minus sign? Which one is it? So I put it in parentheses showing you that it belongs to that 3. So negative or 14 plus negative 3. They're different, right? Positive and a negative. Find the difference. So I'm going to subtract. I just subtracted. 14 minus 3. What is 14 minus 3, Joseph? 11. Greatest distance, that means the absolute value. Which one of these values has a greater distance from 0? 14. It's positive, so my answer is positive. Or you could just write 11. Negative 18 plus 7. The signs are different. This is negative, this is positive. Find the difference, meaning I'm going to subtract. 18 minus 7. Greatest distance. Which one of these values has a greater distance from 0, a greater absolute value? Safi? Yeah. Negative 18 has a greater absolute value. It's 18 spaces from 0, right? 18 minus 7 is 11. But since negative 18 has a greater absolute value, my answer is going to be negative. Negative 2 plus 10. They're different. The first one's negative, the second one's positive. If they're different, find the difference. How do you subtract that? What goes first? How'd you learn in elementary school? What number always goes first? The bigger number. So we'll do 10 minus 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. Greatest distance. Which one of these values has a greater absolute value? Chrissy? 10. So it's going to be positive. Sometimes they're going to be all mixed up. Let's do a hard problem. Negative 12 plus negative 6 plus 15 plus negative 2. I'm going to write out every step so you can see it when you go back to your notes to practice. Start from left to right. Are they the same or different? Find the 12 plus 6. What's 12 plus 6? 18. Keep the sign, so it's negative. You can skip this part and do this part mentally, but I'm writing it down so you can see it if you have a question. Then we rewrite the problem. Plus 15 plus negative 2. Left to right. Are they the same or different? Different, find the difference. 18 minus 15 or 15 minus 18? 18 minus 15. Big minus small. What's 18 minus 15? 3. Greatest distance. Which one? Negative 18, so my answer will be negative. Plus negative 2. Same or different? Same, find the sum. 3 plus 2 is 5. Keep the, so it's negative. Let's do one more example. Big one. 43 plus negative 8. Your homework, when we do this, will not have as giant of numbers. I just randomly made up this problem. I apologize for the big numbers. 43 plus negative 8 plus negative 54 plus 13. Same or different? Different. 43, negative 8. The signs are the different. Find the difference. 43 minus 8. If you needed to, all right, you could stack it and do your borrowing. 35. Greatest distance. Is it positive or is it negative? Positive, because 43 has a greater absolute value than negative 8. Write down the rest of the problem. $35 plus negative 54, same or different? Different, find the difference. 35 minus 54 or 54 minus 35? 54 minus 35, if you have to stack it, that's okay. $19. Greatest distance, is it positive 19 or negative 19? Negative. Negative 54 has a greater absolute value than 35. Plus 13. Same or different? Different. Find the difference. 19 minus 13. 19 minus 13 is 6. Greatest distance. Which one has a greater distance? 19, which is negative 6. Go step by step slowly. Because if you're looking at this problem, and if I'm looking, I would say, you know what, those are kind of close to each other, but this is a little bit bigger. And these are kind of close to each other, but this one's a little bit bigger. So my answer is going to be somewhere near 0. It shouldn't be much bigger than 0. Well, negative 6 is kind of close to 0. If I'm looking at this problem, right, I can say, well, negative, 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 and 1 positive. I bet my answer is going to be a negative number. You just have to be able to look at it and have it make sense to you. If you're doing this problem and you got positive 11 as your answer, or 25 as your answer, and you look back at the original problem and you say, wait a second, 7 more than negative 18? It's not 25. Like, that doesn't make sense. You have to be able to predict what your answer, what your value is going to be near.